Everyone, and welcome back to another great episode on the Hope and Renewal podcast. This is where faith meets real life and hard truths is held with compassion. Again, this is your favorite host, Antonio Banks. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope and pray that this message speaks to your heart. And if it does, that you do not keep it to yourself, but you will keep sharing with somebody else. So I want to start off with whether this is your first time listening, your second time tuning in, or you're one of the faithful day one supporters who listens every single week. I want to say I thank all of you and I appreciate you and I honor you. The podcast that I thought that would never or would not reach more than probably 5 or 10 people has actually reached a lot. We're at 320 streams and downloads. We are in the top 100 podcasts, and there is almost 50 episodes. So I really, really want to thank everybody who's tuning in and listening. Today's episode, woo, it's going to be a touch one. It's going to touch somebody's heart because we are dealing with a word that people throw around like it's nothing. It's a word that's been used as a joke, an insult, a stereotype, and sometimes just lazy judgment. That word is ghetto. And today we're going to break it down, we're going to challenge it, and we're going to flip it upside down with truth, with real life, and with the Word of God. So take a breath, settle in, because this one is going to need it. This episode today is called They Say Ghetto, but what does that even mean? So, have you ever thought about how one single word can carry 1,000 unspoken opinions? People use the word ghetto like they have the authority to define someone else's experience. But the question is, what does ghetto even mean? And who gets to decide? See, because that neighborhood someone called ghetto is a home to a mother, a son working 2 or 3 jobs. It was home to kids waking up every day with dreams bigger than their surroundings. It was home to people who were surviving, fighting, and hoping even when life didn't play fair. See, that person someone called ghetto, they were doing the best they could with the tools they were given. That car somebody laughed at, it might have been the only way that person could get to work or get their kids to school or even get themselves to church on a Sunday morning. See, society doesn't take a second to understand a story. Society takes the shortcut. Label first, learn never. We live in a world where the second you don't fit someone's mold, they slap a label on you. Clothes not polished enough, ghetto. Car not new enough, ghetto. Speech not textbook proper, ghetto. And you laugh too loud, they say you're ghetto. See, your joy doesn't match that comfort level, definitely ghetto. It's easier for people to judge the presentation than to understand the situation. People see the result, but never the sacrifice. They never see the late nights. They never see the double shifts. They never see the pain, the prayers, or the perseverance. And let me give you a real moment because this is what we do on the Hope and Renewal podcast. Not too long ago, me and my family and I were at Home Goods, and we were just spending a normal day together, talking, laughing, and joking around with one of the employees. Just being human, just enjoying life. And I'm sure most of you done the same thing. It wasn't nothing rude, nothing wild, nothing out of sync or pocket. And the next day I hear someone refer to us as ghetto. I had to pause. Why? Why did they call us ghetto? Why does a family laughing together make somebody uncomfortable? Why does joy get twisted into something negative? Why is it that when we show life, someone tries to assign shame? The truth is simple. People judge through the lens of their own discomfort. Some can't recognize peace because they've never had it. Some can't understand joy because they're still fighting bitterness. Then some can't understand family bonding because they've never experienced love up close. And the problem isn't your behavior, the problem is their perspective. When people use the word ghetto, I can't help but think about my mother. Was she ghetto because life forced her into survival mode? Was she ghetto because she had to move us into the projects when life gave her no other choice? Was she ghetto because she raised two boys without a father, juggling jobs just to keep us breathing? And I want to tell you something. So please let me tell you. They don't know about the night she folded laundry in a laundromat so her boys could sleep safely. They don't know about the candles she lit when the lights were cut off. They don't know about the cooler she used because we didn't have a refrigerator. Or what about the boiling water on the stove so we could take a warm bath? Labels don't tell that story. I do, because I've lived it, and I'm sure some of you can relate to it. My mother was not ghetto. She was a warrior, a provider, a protector, a woman who refused to quit no matter the cost. And I know most of you have the same mother that does the same thing and would keep on doing it. See, then you hear folks say ghetto is an action. Really? So because a young man wears his pants low, he's ghetto? Because someone has dreads, they're ghetto? Or how about does a hairstyle become a moral judgment? How does clothing become a character flaw? See, dreads have history, culture, and pride. Sagging pants, whether you like it or not, is influenced by environment and identity. None of it equals less than. None of it equals unworthy. And let's take it a little further. Let's take it to the word. Samson, one of the strongest men in the Bible, would have been probably labeled ghetto today. Why do I say that? Because long, wild, uncut hair, rough appearance, unpolished, unpredictable, didn't fit in anyone's picture of church folk. He walked into a store today looking at the way he did back then. People would whisper, "Who is that? He looks ghetto. He doesn't even belong here." Yet the very thing they could judge was the very thing God used for his glory. Let's take it even further. Would Jesus been considered ghetto today? Absolutely. Born in a barn, surrounded by animals and hay, parents were young and broke, from Nazareth, a place people look down on. What good come out of Nazareth? They said. What about Barabbas, labeled a criminal, a menace? Jesus covered him with grace. Judas was sneaky, shady, and backstabbing. Jesus washed his feet. Grace doesn't skip the streets. Grace doesn't avoid the overlooked. Grace doesn't ignore the broken places. If half the Bible walked the earth today, society would call them ghetto, unpolished, unqualified, and unfit. But heaven would call them chosen, purposeful, set apart, and destined. See, God has never picked based on zip code, never chosen based on income, never have rejected based on appearance, never dismissed someone for their beginning. God looks at the heart. God looks at the purpose. God looks at the destiny He Himself placed inside you. And I want to close with this. So the next time someone calls you ghetto, maybe, just maybe you should smile. You might be standing in the same category that the world would have put Jesus in, because God does His best work with the people the world overlooks. So I want to close with this question. Here's my question for you today. Are you letting the world labels limit your life? Or are you ready to walk in the purpose God already placed inside you? I want to thank you for tuning into the Hope Renewal podcast. I am your favorite host, Antonio Banks, and I pray today's message challenged you, encouraged you, and remind you that labels don't define destiny. God does. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs that same reminder. And until next time, keep walking in purpose, keep living with hope, and keep renewing your mind daily. I'll see you on the next episode, and I want you to please share, follow, subscribe, comment, and let me know if I'm doing anything wrong or if I can help in any kind of way.